Hello, 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 everyone. Good to see you guys here. This is Fiberstrike 95 here today. And today we're here with another episode of our Explore National Park series. We're today doing part 27 of 63, and we're visiting Big Bend National Park here in Texas. This is a very special national park and one of the most underrated parks in the country. Big Bend, for those who don't know, is very famous for its desert topography, ecology, its beautiful location along the bend of the Rio Grande River, and it's one of the really special parks, and definitely well worth the visit. Just try to avoid it during the summer, that is, of course. So before we get started, I do want to say hello to everyone, all the lurkers and the mods. I hope you're all doing well. So our flight plan should be pretty simple this morning, of course. We have 3 legs for this one. Leg number 1 will take us through Fort Stockton. We'll make our way over down to Marfa Municipal Airport. We'll fly over here for the first leg to Marfa Municipal. Then second leg will fly us to Big Bend Ranch State Park. We'll fly around the state park. Then from there, we'll fly over, then the rest we'll do the custom flight plan. We'll fly along the canyon trail. We'll make several bush lanes in this leg. We'll fly over to, of course, the Santa Elena Canyon overlook. We'll fly down here. We'll fly over to the Santa Elena Canyon overlook. So we'll fly around the Santa Elena Canyon. We'll stop right here to take pictures. From there, we'll move, of course, further east. We'll fly around the Chizo Mountains. We'll make a pit stop. Around Emery Peak, the tallest peak at the park. And we'll also stop at Lost Mine Peak as well. We'll take plenty of pictures around the Chizo mountain ranges. Then we'll make one last stop around the Ross Maxwell Scenic Drive. We'll make a stop here, take a picture of the mountains, and then we'll land here at 1 Echo 2. So that's going to be how this flight is going to go. So that's kind of how our flight plan is. Should be nice and simple today. Pretty simple flight plan through this national park. So we'll take this Lone Savage Norton, and yes, I did want to start at night today. I want to start at night since I haven't really done much of night flying. So here we go. Let me go ahead and do the flight plan this quickly. Flight plan. We're going to do KFST. KMRF 3T9. Okay, we're going to do these first 3 legs. We can just do the first 2 legs out of our current airport. So we'll do an early morning flight, so we're going to do it at 6 o'clock a.m. So we're going to do a sunrise flight into Big Bend, of course. Just turn all the lights on. So we're going to go ahead and make our flight there. Our first leg altitude for the first leg of the trip is going to take us, we're going to fly at 6,500 feet for this one. Is 6,500 feet. So we're going to turn left, and we're going to go ahead and prepare for takeoff. So here we go, guys. We're finally off. So there we go. So we say goodbye to Tech. Goodbye to Fort Stockton, of course, as we make our way to Big Bend. So we're going to go. So I hope you guys have a good day today. So looking back in some of the other stuff going on in the week, so for this series, of course, next Friday is going to be our game day flight. Man City and Aston Villa is going to be the game day flight on next Friday, of course. So, some pretty big things going on, of course. Everton are playing right now, so I'm keeping track of the Everton game versus Sunderland. Let's see how the Toffees do on the send-off to. So that's where we're going here for. We're going to climb up 500 feet a minute to 6,500 feet. So this one's going to be for 66 nautical miles for the first leg, so it should be pretty short getting to the trip. So we got some slides about Big Bend National Park. Let me get those loaded for you guys. Here you go. Big Bend National Park. Had to find it somewhere in my slides. Big Bend. There she is. So, Big Bend National Park. If you guys want to know what Big Bend is, this famous national park is located here in West Texas. It has national significance as it is the largest protected area of the Chinawan Desert topography and ecology here in the United States. And it was named after a large bend in the Rio Grande Rio Bravo River. This park protects more than 1,200 species of plants, 450 species of birds, 56 species of reptiles, and 75 species of mammals. The area has a rich cultural history with archaeological sites dating back to 10,000 years to recent pioneers, rangers, and miners. The Chizo Mountains are located here in the national park, and they are the only mountain range in the U.S. to be fully contained within the boundary of a U.S. national park. Other geological features include sea fossils, dinosaur bones, and volcanic dikes. And the park encompasses 801,000 acres within Brewster County. Because the Rio Grande serves as the international boundary, the park faces some unusual constraints when administering and enforcing park rules, relegations, and policies. That's because this is the boundary between the United States and Mexico. For example, in accordance to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the park territory extends only to the center of the deepest river channel as the river flowed in 1848. The rest of the channel land south is Mexican territory. And the park is bordered by the Canon de Santa Elena and Madres del Carmen in Mexico. So yes, this is a pretty neat little national park, of course. Some very neat things about this park. Being bordered by Mexico is one of them. And of course, obviously, one of the other things this park faces is definitely the fact that Big Ben really has to go contend against a lot of the border policies here in the United States. So in terms of the geography and climate of the national park, in terms of its geography, of course, it's for its climate, during dry, hot, late spring, summer days often exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit in lower elevations. Winters are normally mild, but sub-freezing temperatures occasionally do occur. Because of the range in altitude from 1,800 feet to 7,800 feet, there's a wide variation of moisture and temperature in the park. But that diversity also allows for a lot of diversity in plant and animal habitats, and some species in the park are only found here in this park. The Chizo's oak tree, for example. The 118 miles of rivers that form the southern boundary of the park include spectacular canyons of Santa Elena, Mariscal, and Boquilis. And the Rio Grande has cut deep canyons with vertical walls in these uplifts. Of course, the park's signature Chizo Mountains are sky islands surrounded by desert, and a significant part of the park's biodiversity is occurred from those isolated populations of plants and animals found in the mountains. And of course, south of the border lies the Mexican states of Chihuahua and Coahuila, as well as the newly protected areas for flora and fauna like the Madres del Carmen and the Canon de Santa Elena. So pretty cool stuff. Some really cool geography in the park, obviously. And this here's the park map. So you can see all the different things within this park. A lot of diversity and things to see and do here at the park. So, pretty cool stuff here. We're about to see more of the starlights, of course. So, we're starting to get more sunlights, of course. We're starting to see the sunrise here in Texas. really cool stuff going on here today. So, for the next week of streams, of course, we're going to be back on Friday for the game day flight, Aston Villa, Man City, at the Etihad Stadium. Should be a big title deciding match. In case if something happens with Arsenal, if Man City and Arsenal will win, this is going to be basically the title decider. It's going to basically be the championship decider for the Premier League. So some pretty big stuff going on here, of course. Saturday's going to be doing some airliner ops out of Dallas. We'll be mainly doing some short hops out of our Dallas hub. So I was thinking about doing some flying out of Dallas. I was thinking about doing some flights over to either shuttle between Dallas and Houston, or we could do Dallas over to Houston, and then Houston over to New Orleans. That should probably be fun. Pretty short flights, not have to take super long. So it should be some pretty fun flights. And of course, our next national park after this episode, our next national park will be Part 28. We will be visiting Virgin Islands National Park in the Virgin Islands. So this should be really cool. This is going to be our first national park in the series that's not going to be in the mainland United States. It's going to be the first that's not in the United States as a U.S. state, actually. So we'll be checking out Virgin Islands National Park, which will be located in Cruz Bay in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we'll be some pretty interesting flying there. Looking forward to that when that flight happens. We'll take something nice. We might take a different type of plane. Who knows? We might take a float plane or something. So we'll get ready. I'm just currently looking at the flight plan for the national park in Virgin Islands. Trying to finalize a good flight plan for it. There we go. I guess the next one's going to be much shorter distance, so we'll probably take the Savage Cub for that one, the traditional one. So we're doing pretty good here. So let's see how much more slots. So the next thing we'll talk about here for this national park, of course, is the park's history. So the history of Big Bend National Park and the history of this national park is a really interesting one to learn. During the early historic period, before 1535, several Indian groups were recorded as inhabiting the national park. The Chizo Indians were a loose group of nomadic hunters and gatherers who practiced limited agriculture here, and the origins of them were not known. Linguistically, in terms of language-wise, they were associated with the Conchos Indians of northern Chihuahua and northwestern Coahuila. There was also the Jumamo group of people who were traveled and traded through the West Texas and southeastern New Mexico, but some historic records indicate they were actually the enemies of the Chizos. Then around the 18th century, the Mescalero Apaches invaded the Big Bend region and displaced the Chizo Indians. One of the last Native American groups to use the Big Bend were the Comanches, who passed through this park through the Comanche Trail on their way to and from periodic raids into the Mexican interior. And these raids continued into the mid-19th century. And the last of those leaders, those Comanche leaders, was an Apache named Alzate, who was active in the late 1860s. Now, the first European presence of the region began in 1535 AD with the first Spanish explorations in this portion of North America, and that being, of course, the expedition of Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca. He passed through near the Big Bend and was followed by many other expeditions, and some of them were searching for gold and silver, or farm or rangeland. Others, like the Franciscan missionaries, were intended to establish centers where the natives could be evangelized into Christianity. In order to protect the northern frontier, of course, of New Spain, a line of forts were established along the Rio Grande in the late 18th century. The Presidente de San Vicente was actually built near present-day San Vicente Coahuila. But some of them were abandoned because of the financial difficulties, and they could not stop the Indian intrusions into Mexico. One very interesting thing about a lot of those being is that there's very little study has been made of the Spanish occupation of the Big Bend following the abandonment of the Presidos. Of course, in 1805, a Spanish settlement called Alteras existed 30 miles south of the Rio Grande River. The region became part of Mexico after achieving independence from Spain in 1821. Mexican families lived in the area where Spanish English-speaking settlers began arriving after Texas seceded in the later half of the 19th century. After the Mexican-American War, the U.S. Army made military service of the uncharted land of Big Bend. Forts and outposts were established across the Trans-Pecos, Texas, to protect migrating settlers from Indian attacks. A significant portion of soldiers were actually African American. A lot of people may not know it, but they were called the Buffalo Soldiers, a name given to them by the Native Americans. And one of those people was Lieutenant Henry Flipper, the first American of African ancestry to graduate from West Point, and he served in Shafter, Texas, which is west of Big Bend. Of course, ranchers didn't settle in the area around 1880. And by 1900, sheep, goat, and cow ranches occupied most of the area, and the delicate desert environment was soon overgrazed. Then, in the late 19th and early 20th century, they discovered valuable mineral deposits and were brought by settlers who worked in the mines or supported the mines by farming or cutting timber, and communities began to spring around the mines. Buquilas and Terlinga both resulted from both mine operations. Also, during this period, the Rio Grande floodplain was settled by farmers. Many of them were developed in this area. But one more interesting event happened in 1916, when the raid on Glen Springs by Mexican Villistas attacked the town, prompting President Wilson to establish the Texas National Guard, and they had to build a permanent cavalry camp at Glen Springs until 1920, when the border situation improved. One very interesting thing that happened as well being the history of the park. Of course, in the 1930s, many people who loved the Big Bend country recognized it as a land of unique contrast and beauty were preserved for future generations. And in 1933, the Texas legislature established Texas Canyon State Park. Later that year, it was redesignated as Big Bend State Park. Then, of course, 2 years later, Congress passed legislation to enable the acquisition of land as a national park. And the Texas decreed the land as part of acquisition to the federal government in June 12, 1944. And of course, on June 12, 1944, Big Bend National Park became a reality, and it opened to visitors just about a month later, on July 1st. Big Bend to this day still remains one of the largest, most remote, and least visited national parks. As from 2009 to 2019, 377,000 visitors entered the park each year. However, that number is actually going up, because in 2025, 568,000 people visited last year. It's reaching new highs for this park, as more and more people discover how beautiful this park really is. It is an absolutely gorgeous park with a rich history. So, So here it is, guys. This is we're arriving into the Big Bend area here in Texas. We just passed through the McDonald Observatory, or right around Fort Davis, so we can see some of the really striking scenery in this part of Texas. This is probably the most scenic part of the state, is the Big Bend, Southwest Texas area. That's probably the most striking. The Big Bend area is easily the most striking scenery here in the state. Like, a lot of people think Texas is this big area, flat plains kind of thing, or that's flat. Like, show them this area, and people don't realize this is Texas. Really cool scenery, of course. And speaking of our game day flights, well, it turned out our game day flight, which was Roma and Lazio, also ended today. And it was a complete victory for Roma. 2-0 win over their hated rivals. Big win for Roma. It was embraced by Gianluca Mancini, and they completely dominated Lazio. Big win for them, of course, for Roma. Looks like pretty much the top three. I mean, Inter is winning the league. Napoli's pretty much secured Champions League placement for next season. So basically, have secured Champions League placement. So round 38 will be the final one that can secure the Champions League. Como could still make Champions League, but it would have to require either Roma, or it would have to be they win against Cremonese, and then they have to rely on Roma losing to Verona, which would be extremely unlikely, or Milan losing to Cagliari, which isn't unthinkable. But think it's going to be pretty much sealed for the Italians. The Italian spear, of course. And then for other games as well, Manchester United beat Forest. I mean, they already secured Champions League placement, and now they're going to continue securing even further. Um, yeah, crazy how this year was for Manchester United this year. Last year, they finished 15th last year, which was pretty embarrassing for Manchester United. And, I mean, look at the turnaround this year. 15th to 3rd. But what a turnaround by Carrick. And speaking about Michael Carrick, he's going to remain as manager for next season. So, should be interesting to see how Manchester United does with Carrick as manager. Should be interesting to see how he would turn out as their permanent manager, but should be interesting for Manchester United. Yeah, keep track of the Everton game against Sunderland. I want the Toffees to win. Give Seamus Coleman the send-off he deserves. So this is absolutely gorgeous. The scenery here in this part of Texas is just... So just gorgeous scenery in this part of Texas. Absolutely stunning. So we'll make our first stop here soon at Marfa Municipal. Then we'll talk about, once we land there, we'll talk about some of the other parts of the park. So we'll talk about the geology, resources, and flora and fauna at the park. We'll talk about some of the other slides for Big Ben when it comes up. But yeah, really cool scenery today. Look at the landscape, guys. Like Big Ben, this area in Texas, the Big Ben area, Southwest Texas in just general, is just really pretty. I mean, the scenery is just striking. Come on, Toffees, win. Win for Seamus Coleman. beautiful stuff here, of course. Absolute gorgeous area here. So I hope you guys had a good weekend so far in the community and stuff. I know we got some really cool stuff. Should be absolutely gorgeous, of course. Murphy's also going to be later today. He's going to preview the Phenom 300E today. So he'll be doing the Phenom, which should be really cool to see. I know a lot of you guys like business jets are probably going to be looking forward to when that's coming out into the sim. Are going to be really looking forward to that, of course. But yeah, really cool stuff. The scenery here is just amazing here. Man, this is just amazing desert scenery. Like, you're not going to find much scenery better than this for desert flying. And so for and a goal for Everton. Goal. Goal. So here's our first stop, guys. Here we are. First stop, Marfa Municipal. So we're gonna go ahead and make the landing here. 1-0 Topies. Go for roll. Go for Everton. Yes, 1-0 Toughies. So here we go. We're going to make our landing here. It is 1-0 Everton. Let's go. Get in, boys. Get in, Everton. So we'll stay here for just about a more minute. If you guys want to join on in, here's our route. And here's our server. So we're in the Southeast Asia server here today. So if you guys want to join on in, we'll be getting back in the air very shortly for our second leg of the trip. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for the second leg of the flight. And we're up. Up we go. So we're going to climb 500 feet. Permanent. So we're going to climb here, and we're going to make our way to our second stop. Hmm. So we're going to be cruising our way down to 3 Tango 9 will be our next stop. So we're going to talk about the geology of Big Bend National Park. So geologically speaking, the ores recorded tectonic activity at the park is around 550 million years ago. And the origin in this area is part of thrusty rocks from the South American plate over the North American plate, which can be best seen in Persimmon Gap. Of course, following in between the Triassic Cretaceous, the South American plate rifted from the North American plate, resulting in the deposit of the Glen Rose limestone, the Carmen limestone, the Sioux Peaks Formation, the San Elena limestone, which makes the canyon, of course, and you also have the Boquillos formations, as well as many other parts. Of course, after the end of the Cretaceous and early Cenozoic, the Big Bend area was subjected to the Laramide orogeny, which built a lot of the mountains in the Mesa de Aguila. And then the most recent tectonic activity of the park is the Bassin Range faulting for the Neogene Quaternary. In this period of east-west extension, has resulted in the Estufa and Dehalobolsons in the Chizo Mountains, as well as Terralingua and Santa Clara faults. And then 2 million years ago, the Rio Grande entered into the Big Bend area, and as a result, you have significant erosion downcutting occurred. But yes, this area went through quite a bit of the geological stuff in the park. Plenty of geological stuff occurred all throughout this area. But there's tons of cultural resources in the park. Of course, you have the Paleo-Indian artifacts that range around 10,500 years ago, represented by different Native American groups, the Chizos, the Mescaleros, and the Comanche. More recently, Spanish, Mexican, Anglo, and Irish settlers farmed, ranched, and mined the area. Throughout the prehistoric period, humans found shelter and maintained open campsites throughout the park. The archaeological record of this area reveals an archaic period desert culture whose inhabitants had developed a nomadic hunting and gathering lifestyle that remained virtually unchanged for several thousand years. Of course, the historic cultural landscape centers upon the various subsistence or commercial land use. The riparian tributary environments were used for subsistence and irrigation farming. Transportation networks, irrigation structures, civil domestic residence, and outbuildings characterize many of these landscapes. So yes, there's a lot of cultural stuff here in the park. Plenty of all that through this area, of course. The flora and fauna of this park is quite diverse too, and when you talk about the plants and animals, this is a very diverse national park. And despite its harsh desert environment, Big Bend has more than 1,200 species of plants, 600 different vertebrate species, and 3,600 insect species. And it's thanks to this park's unique, diverse ecology and elevations between dry, hot desert, cool mountains, and fertile river valley. In terms of plant species, of course, there's a wide variety of cactus, and our plant line adds a lot of color. There's tons of cactus species, most famously the prickly pear, the putina, the claret cup, and the pitaya flavored cactus, which the pitaya is also, aka also known as dragon fruit. It's where dragon fruit comes from. In the spring, the wildflowers full bloom, and yucca flowers display bright colors, and of course, one of the most prevalent flowers in the park are bluebonnets, which is actually Texas' state flower, by the way. Other flowering plants include marigold, desert winter, octillo, rock nettle, and lechgula are found around Big Bend. Of particular importance was the candela plant, which was important for this area because it was made to produce candela wax, which this wax, by the way, is mainly used with other waxes to harden as a food additive. And it's also used for cosmetics, and is used as binder for chewing gum. And it was motivated for a lot of the wax camps in the area, mainly Glen Springs. In terms of animal species, most animals are not visible during the day because, of course, I mean, come on, have you not seen the temperature out there? However, it comes alight at night. There's about 150 cougar sightings reported per year, even though it's actually revealed that only 24 cougars live in the national park. Other species include the coyote, the kangaroo rat, the greater roadrunner, golden eagle, gray fox, collared peccary, and black-tailed jackrabbits live in this area. Also present in the mountain areas are black bears. Yes, there are black bear sightings in this park. As crazy as it sounds, there are black bears that live up here. And now, of course, there were plans to reintroduce the Mexican wolf into this park, but they were rejected in the 1980s by Texas because there were disagreement whether there was enough prey in the park to sustain a wolf population. Pretty interesting stuff here, but lots of really cool stuff. And of course, this park really shines as a bird watcher's paradise. There are about 450 species of birds in this park. In the 8 basic land types covered in the park, with desert shrubland, multiple types of grassland, riparian, woodland, bare ground, and surface water. And birders flock to this park because this is the only area in the United States with breeding range of the Camellia warbler. And they arrive in mid-April and stay through the summer in the high canyons, and then it returns to its winter grounds in southwest Mexico. And this area is mainly for the park. But lots of bird species in this park. It's a bird hunter's absolute paradise for bird watchers. But there are tons of other bird species. Tons of ducks, geese, and goose make their residence here in the park. I mean, some of them are rare. Some of them are found. Quail. You have finds all sorts of pigeons and doves. Osprey live here. Tons of different hawks and stuff. The golden eagle lives here, of course. But tons of hawk species can make their home here. Plenty of owl species can be found here too. Kingfishers, falcons, woodpeckers. All sorts of animals just live in this area. This is a very popular national park for bird lovers. Bird lovers absolutely love this park. It's not a surprise. absolutely gorgeous park for all you bird lovers out there. This is a great park for that. So we're going to get closer into Big Bend National Park. So we'll get closer to our park. So we got 2 more slides after this. Then we'll cover the last two. Then the last 2 more slides for this leg, and then we got 2 more for the next leg. Yep, nice half for Everton. 1-0 at halftime. So, beautiful stuff here. Very excited to get through this board. So we got only 2 slides left to go. So let's take a look outside. Let's see what the scenery looks like this morning, of course. The scenery looks amazing. The sunrise here in Texas. Absolutely breathtaking. So, really cool stuff here at the park. But absolute gorgeous scenery here. So really seeing stuff. So we're going to go ahead and cover our last 2 slides here for this park. First is the fossils. There's tons of different fossils in this park. Paleontologists have actually been in this area since 1907 with discovered sharks and ammonite fossils by Johann Uden. Then more discoveries were founded between 1930 and 1939. A handful of men did more dinosaur discovery projects, and other fossil hunters arrived in 1940 for dinosaur remains. Among those discoveries, Barnum Brown and R.T. Bird discovered neck vertebra of the giant sauropod Alamosaurus, as well as partial jawbones for the crocodilian species Deinosuchus. The first museum to build these fossils burned down in 1941 and lost with the mammoth teeth and saber-toothed calf fossils. And they built a new exhibit opening back in 1947 to display fossils of the Hyracotherium, a horse ancestor, and the Corphodon, a large hippo-like animal that lived during the Eocene. Of course, the museums were replaced by replicas, but it was overhauled again in 2000. Today, citizens need to collect fossils with a permit legally. Need permits to collect fossils legally. Now, 135 million years ago, Big Bend was actually underwater, and they found marine fossils of plesiosaurs, plastosaurs, and microfossils, as well as remains of larger mollusks in the park. And of course, and of course around 85 to 82 million years ago, had fossils of sharks, small mosasaurs, and fish species like the Zipactinus, which is a species of fish. In the more interesting formations, of course, was around Big Bend was above sea level during the Javelina Formation 72 to 67 million years ago. And some of them include early carnivorous mammals, hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, tyrannosaurids, and the largest known pterosaur where actually have fossils found here, Quetzalcoatlus, was the largest known pterosaur, and those things were absolutely huge. Quetzalcoatlus is literally enormous. Its wingspan is no joke. The size of this thing was absolutely enormous. Its wingspan is around 5 to 25 meters long. However, more recent estimates say it's around 33 to 36 foot wingspan, which makes it probably the largest flying animal ever existed to get in the air, which is absolutely insane. And of course, now before the Cretaceous, they did find several hot springs with pterosaurs and all that. But of course, a lot of this area was wiped out by the KPG extinction event. So, a lot of different stuff about fossils, but this is a great place to get some fossils, of course. Finally, our last slide of the league is tourism, and this area is very cool. So, primarily attraction is hiking and backpacking trails. Particularly notable are the Chimneys Trails, which visits a rock formation in the desert. The Morro Vega Trail, which passes through the scenic canyons for the Rio Grande. The South Rim Trail, which soars the high mountains of the Chizos. And the Dodson Trail. Other notable locations include Santa Elena Canyon, Grapevine Hills, and Mule Ears, which are the two opposing rock towers. The park also administers 118 miles of the Rio Grande for recreational use, and there are professional river outfitters that let you provide tours of the river. You are allowed to use a personal boat, but a free river float permit is required. In June 2009, Department of Homeland Security began treating all float trips as international departures, so it required participants to present acceptable identification, such as a passport. Visitors often cross the Rio Grande to visit the Mexican village of Aquilas. Of course, it was once closed in 2002, due to 9/11, of course. However, in 2013, the Aquilas crossing reopened as an official Class B port of entry, and it's open Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, this park is an absolutely incredible place for bird watching thanks to its 450 species of birds recorded at the park, and many species stop here during their annual migrations. And finally, last but not least, this park was designated as an International Dark Sky Park in 2012, thanks to the fact that with this park being extremely remote, it is free from all but the most minor aspects of light pollution. So it's one of the darkest skies in the contiguous 48, and at clear nights, you can see the Milky Way and all that sort of stuff on clear nights. So that's it, everyone. That is the second to last slide. We got 2 more slides afterwards. We will be covering on the trip. So we'll cover those when we start our last leg, and we'll cover those in more detail. So we'll cover that when we get there. So yeah, looking forward to showing you guys all that when we get completed. And the second half is underway for Everton and Sunderland. So let's come on, Everton. One more goal, we get 3 points. Everton, Everton, we're forever Everton. All for one for all. Everton's the beautiful football. So that's pretty much what it is. We're entering Big Bend Ranch State Park. So let's see who's flying along with, if anyone's flying along with us. Look at the sunrise this morning, guys. We're in a real treat this morning, of course. What an absolutely gorgeous sunrise. That's just gorgeous. Oh, that's just a gorgeous sunrise here at Big Bend National Park. So, I appreciate you guys staying along with me on this day, on this morning stream, of course, getting ready for the next leg. Mm. Mm. So we have a beautiful park here. This is Big Bend Ranch State Park. So we're about to enter into the Ranch State Park, of course. So should be a pretty scenic area here. This part of Texas obviously is really pretty. So guys, we only have one final leg left to go on this trip. And it'll be mainly just be explore around the national park. We'll be following through the canyons and stuff. We'll follow the Rio Grande over to the national park. We'll make several pit stops. We'll make a pit stop at the Santa Elena Canyon Overlook. We'll fly over into Mule Ears. We should see that. We'll make a stop at Emery Peak, and we'll also make a pit stop at Lost Mine Peak. We'll mainly go here. We might land at Chizo Basins. We might land there for a bit. But we'll have some place to stop, and then we'll finally stop at the Maxwell Scenic Drive. And we'll stop there, take pictures of the mountains, and then we'll get going. But we'll check out this area's absolutely gorgeous scenery here in Big Bend. I'm looking forward to it with you guys, obviously. Mm-hmm. So here it is, second stop. Here today, just gonna go ahead and fly on through. So here we go. So we'll stop right here. So we need to delete the flight plan, of course. I'm going to go ahead and delete the flight plans. Went ahead and deleted them since we no longer need the flight plans anymore, so we'll just stay here for just a bit. Yeah, look at this area. Um, so so we'll get back up in just a minute. We'll, if anyone else want to join on in, Southeast Asian server. We're on. Here's our. I'm going to go ahead and put our route again and server, just in case if you guys want to actually get back into the air, join us for this last leg here at Big Bend. Should be an exciting one, of course. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go ahead and depart. So we're going to come to 6,000 feet, and we're going to go ahead and cover the last two legs of the stream, of course, as we're going to fly into the Rio Grande River. We have two last slides we're going to cover here pretty quickly, just for rapid fire. Our last two slides, we'll be visiting Emery Peak, the tallest peak in the park. This peak is around 7,800 feet above sea level. It's named for William H. Emery, the chief surveyor of the U.S. Boundary Survey Team in 1852. Emery Peak is clearly visible under a point slightly higher most of the mountain range, and it can be achieved by doing a moderate hike across steep rocky terrain with an elevation of 2,500 feet. And the Emery Peak Trail is about 1.5 miles long. No gear is needed, though hikers should take great care. These high desert flora and fauna like alligator jumper, mule deer, and more can be seen along the trail. And of course, be watchful for mountain lions and bears. The view from the top takes in most of the northern section of the park and great view of the Chizos in the south. But yes, you can see some absolutely gorgeous views, and we're going to be landing on top of the peak here today. The other part is the Canon de Santa Elena Flora and Fauna Protection Area. We'll be flying over this area as well. And this is it's in Mexico, actually. It was established in 1994 on November 7th. It covers around 277,000 acres. It's within the Mexican municipalities of Manuel Benavides and Ojinaga in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. And it protects the Chihuahuan Desert, home to many various species of plants and wildlife. Birds and mammals have adapted to the area like wildcats and some deer, birds of prey, and more. Really neat area, of course. They found a lot of different archaeological areas dating back to nearly 15,000 years ago. Now, one very interesting thing about this, of course, is to create this area, of course, this area was requested and created in the 1990s for a Boss Bear Reserve in the northwest state of Chihuahua. It was initiated in the borders with the U.S. Big Bend National Park. After meeting with villagers, of course, this area was created in 1994. The federal government of the U.S. has pushed since 1934 to create a protection area in Mexico to be the counterpart of Big Bend. And this is the Mexican equivalent to this park, to Big Bend. So it's really cool to see that there's a Mexican National Park, and we can see the Santa Elena Canyon here at the park. There's lots of really cool flora and fauna here. Black bear, golden eagle, and the beaver can be found here this far south too. And of course, all sorts of different plant species too. Really neat area, really cool national park area as well. Should be a really neat experience here at the park. Of course, there's some really great hiking and trails, so I'm going to show you guys some of the hiking and trails here at the park. Big Bend is a great place for hiking. It's not really much of a surprise. It's a great national park for hikers. Hikers love this park. This is a really good national park for trails, but far and away, there's tons of really popular trails. But the three trails I want to keep in mind here for this park, first is the most popular trail in the park, Lost Mine, a great introduction to this park on the Chizos Mountains. 4 miles length forward and back, 2.5 to 3 hours time to get into the trail. This trail is really nice as well. Here's some of the photos from people who have taken pictures in this trail. So here's some of the pictures, of course, to keep in mind here. We'll drop down to around 5,000 feet. We'll drop 4,500 feet here. We're going to go a little lower. So we're going to drop to 4,500 feet. I'm going to lower the speed here. Yes, we're going to drop down to 4,500 feet, which should pretty much take care of a lot of this area. And I don't have to worry about accident. Or we can go even lower. I think we can go even lower to 4,000 feet. We'll just have to be careful with it. And we are going to turn left. So this here, of course, is the Lost Mine Trail. You can see some of the absolutely incredible peaks here. So Lost Mine Trail is an absolutely scenic trail, and you can see so much of the mountains here. It's really nice. Really nice trail to see some of the mountains of the park. Here's this one that shows the vantage point. You can see all the really cool mountains. Not nearly strenuous as the Emerald Peak Trail, but you can still see some absolutely incredible views. I like this one, for example. Just look at that. That's absolutely gorgeous. Then you have the Santa Elena Canyon Trail, which is about 1.7 miles out and back. You can complete this within 30 minutes to an hour. This is a much easier trail, though one of the things they do say you do have to be careful is this area does have flooding problems. So this is what the Santa Elena Trail looks like, as you can see here. So there's the canyon, the Santa Elena Canyon. We'll see that when we land. But really cool. You can walk around the canyon and stuff. Just really neat place to explore here in the park. Yeah, look at that. That's just cool. And finally, the last trail is the Emery Peak Trail, 10 miles long, and lets you get to the top of the tallest peak in Big Bend. And I mean, look at that picture of the top of the view. Look how much you see out there. That's just nuts. From Emery Peak, just look at that view. Just crazy. So that covers all of our slides here for today. So we'll just be flying along here this morning. And look at the landscape. Holy moly. Oh, look at this for a national park, guys. This is part of Santa Elena Canyon and all that. Look at the beauty of this ever. Look at the state of this, guys. Ah, my goodness, that is just gorgeous. What an absolutely beautiful park. This is why Big Bend is such an underrated gem of a national park. It's truly one of the very best national parks. Those beautiful parks. I mean, especially for the desert parks. There's not many that can rival this one in terms of its just raw beauty. So we should be getting here pretty soon. We'll turn left and we'll continue along and follow down the Rio Grande, of course. Man, look at the landscapes. Oh, what a beautiful park. Oh man, Sunderland just, they equalized. Darn it. So we're going to continue this way. We're going to enter Santa Elena Canyon. I don't think we'll have to wait that much longer for Santa Elena Canyon. Just continue on this way for another. And then the canyon overlook should This is just really cool. And yeah, that's the mighty Rio Grande River, um, down below us. Now, if you guys want to know more about the Rio Grande, the river that flows down to this area, the Rio Grande actually starts all the way from Colorado. It actually starts from the Rio Grande Forest in Colorado, goes down through New Mexico, then goes down through the Texas, and then the rest of the way goes through the Texas-Mexico border, all the way from the Texas state to Chihuahua, Coahuila, and Nuevo Leon, and eventually deposits through from Matamoros. It's a very scenic river, especially if you go through this area. But this might just be the most scenic area in this entire um, direction we take. Mm-hmm. Just incredible desert scenery, man. This is just unbelievable. The desert scenery is just nuts. What a beautiful park, guys. So we'll soon be turning right very soon. Um, so yeah, absolutely gorgeous scenery. We're about to arrive into Santa Ana Canyon. So we'll fly around here. We're about to arrive into Santa Elena Canyon. There she is. So we'll be doing our fly through the canyon. But just look at the landscape, guys. Wow, this is just gorgeous. The landscape in this area, man, is really something else here. Just the scenery is just incredible here. Big Bend, what a beaut. This area is just pretty. I just tell you that much. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. If you want to visit the national park website, I usually post it here in the chat for you guys want to be interested. Here is the national park link. I'll pin it for you guys in the stream. So this around here is Santa Elena Canyon. So we'll fly over the canyon for a bit. We'll make a landing in the overlook, and then we'll take some pictures of the canyon before flying through this area, of course. The Chizo Mountain Range. So we'll take some amazing pics. And yeah, the reason I decided to do early in the morning is because obviously it's May, and in May during the climate, during average times in May, record highs 105 degrees is record high. And it's not even the record highs in the park, because in June the record was 109. But your mainly day maximum in May is 89 degrees, so I probably want to keep you guys well, so I'm trying to make sure you guys avoid getting sunburnt. I'm doing it for your all's safety, not just for me, but your all's too. So this is Santa Elena Canyon. So look at the canyon walls. Just gorgeous. There's Santa Elena Canyon. So we'll make our landing soon, and we'll take plenty of pics. We'll make our landing at the overlook. We can take pictures of the canyon when we get down there. By the way, we do have our Discord. If you guys are interested, here's my Discord. Here, I wonder if the link's still good. But here's our Discord link for my channel. So we'll keep up to date here. So we're going to go down, and we're going to land pretty close to the canyon. So I think we're going to land somewhere down here. Oh. Not my greatest landing, but there we go. So I'm gonna park this thing a little closer. Right here. Perfect. Let's exit out the plane, shall we? So yeah, look at that canyon. Absolutely gorgeous. That's Santa Ana Canyon, everyone. Look at that for a spring shot. Absolutely beautiful canyon. So let's get back to our aircraft, of course. So let's go ahead and get into our next waypoint. We're going to go ahead and fly over to our next place. So we're going to go ahead and change it. 94 degrees. And we're going to fly We're going to fly all the way up to Emery Peak, and that's going to be we're going to delete that. So we're going to go ahead and fly to Emery Peak. We're going to go flight level 8,500 feet. 8,500. So I'm going to readjust these flight plans for a bit. There. There we go. I readjusted the flight plan, so we'll be at 1,000 feet. Yeah, we'll go to 9,000. We're going to go to 9,000, so we're going to go here. So I had to readjust the flight plan for a bit. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for that. So we're going to go ahead and turn around. Thankfully for us, we have a pretty easy point to fly. So we're going to go ahead and fly. So we're going to fly in this direction for the next 6 miles. So we're going to go ahead and fly pretty slowly. We're going to fly 1,000 feet per minute. So we're going to go ahead and climb to 8,000. We're going to climb to 9. So we're going to go ahead and climb this 500 feet per minute. So we're going to do that one. It's going to be slow, but I think we'll get up there pretty quickly. Oh. So here we go, guys. We're going to fly into Emery Peak. We're just going to go 500 feet a minute across this area to our next waypoint. And, oh boy, Everton now trail Sunderland. Oh boy. A win for the Black Cats. They earned that win. That's tough. Good win, Black Cats. Good win. We're going to go ahead and turn left and make our way to Mule Deer Viewpoint, 68 degrees. So we should see the Chizo's Mountains in the distance. There it is. Just look at the scale of these mountains. Look at that. Just the scale of those peaks. Ah, what a very special little park this national park. Big Bend is so pretty. Like, usually people don't like desert national parks, but this is an absolute exception. This is an absolutely breathtaking park. So, beautiful stuff here. So we're going to keep climbing up. We're going to turn right. Hey, Quartz, good to see you. We're in Big Bend National Park here in Texas. We're going to climb into 9,000 feet for the Chizo's Mountains. We're going to be making our way over to Emery Peak. We're in Big Bend in Texas. Beautiful national park. We stopped earlier at Santa Elena Canyon, right over here. We're now going to make our second of the 3 stops. We're going to make a second stop at Emery Peak. And then from Emery Peak, we're then going to go make a stop at the Rocks Maxwell Seawall Drive and take a picture from ground level at the Chizo Mountain Range. Beautiful park. It's one of the most underrated parks in the country, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Mm. And yeah, Everton just lost. They're gonna lose. And oh yeah, they just gave up one more goal, 3-1 to the Black Cats. Black Cats win. So, thank you. Yeah, the view out here is just gorgeous. This definitely is a really great park. Not a lot of people, only 500,000 visited this park last year, but it's actually grown more nowadays. But there's plenty of really cool things at the park to do. There's plenty. It's a great place for hiking. It's a great hiking and backpacking region. You can take trips through the Rio Grande River, but you do have to require a passport because it's technically international since, well, you're bordering Mexico. But you can float down the Rio Grande and Santa Elena canyons, which are really cool. You could also, it's a great bird watching park. It's one of the best bird watching parks in the United States because a lot of birds make their way down here for migrations. They make their way down here. You can find all sorts of species throughout the park for birds. bird watching is popular. Um, it's also one of the best stargazing parks because it's very remote. There's not a lot of big cities nearby, so if you like to search for the stars, this is an excellent place to do that. Just search for the stars because it's one of the most remote areas in the park, national park. In fact, it has probably the least light pollution in any of the simple 48, in the lower 48. So not very many people live here. It's very remote, so it's great for stargazing. Plus you can always take trips to Boquitas, Mexico. A lot of people like to come here for a day trip into Mexico. Um, really cool area though. Like I said, very neat place. Very underrated park, but it's well worth it. The only thing you gotta avoid, of course, is the heat. This place gets really hot during the summer. 109 degrees is not uncommon. It's not the hottest national park because Death Valley beats this park pretty easily, but this is still a very hot national park, especially during the summertime. So do keep that in mind when you plan your visit here. Your best bet to visit the park, and I think one of your tips is the best time to visit is late fall and early spring. Especially during the winter months, they bring pleasant days and stuff. Because if you go through the winter time, Big Bend, it's mainly maximum during the late fall and all that is around October. 79 degrees is like your max. It'll be pretty pleasant. So like the weather isn't bad. And Everton lost to Sunderland. Balls. Mm-hmm. All right, Emery Peak will be our landing, and there's Emery Peak. We should be taking some really good views of this. But yeah, this is the Chizo Mountains. Do you know, Court, that this is the only mountain range in the United States to be enclosed entirely in a national park? Because this is the only one. Um, you have some absolutely gorgeous views of the scenery, of course. So we'll make our landing here very soon, and there's the Emerald Peaks. We're going to go ahead and autopilot. Yeah, very. And these islands right here, this is where a lot of the biodiversity is from. It's right in these mountain ranges. That's where a lot of the biodiversity of the park is from. These beautiful mountain ranges. Now, if you guys want to know our next national park in the series, our next park is, of course, going to be Virgin Islands National Park. It's the first national park that we'll be covering that's not directly in a U.S. state. It's actually technically still an American territory. The Virgin Islands is. So, hey, we got a follow. Andrew710, good to see you. Thank you for the follow. We're covering our national park series. We're covering Big Bend National Park today. We're going to do a bush landing at Emery Peak. We're going to take some pictures of this park. So, absolutely gorgeous. Yes, this is in Texas, by the way. Not what a lot of people know about. When a lot of people think about Texas, they think of like flats, plains, lots of cattle. They don't think of something like this, of course. So we could hike to the top of Emery Peak. Or if we want to, we could just park in the lower. We could just park somewhere more flat. And we can hike our way to the very top. So maybe that might be the safer option. We'll land right over here. This should be an interesting landing. Not the smoothest landing, but not the best landing, but not the worst. So reduce the flaps. Let's see how close we can get it up here. Eek. Oh, nice. Oh, Utah. That's a great choice, Andrew. Oh, that's a great choice. Through Utah, that's a stunning choice. Um, that's a stunning choice. That's a stunning choice. Utah is absolutely gorgeous. Especially when you visit the mountains up there. So this here is Emery Peak. Ah, look at that. There's Emery. Actually, I think Emery Peak's a little closer. Oh yeah, Emery Peak's right there. Let me go ahead. There's Emery Peak, the tallest point in the Chizo mountain range. Let's see if I can climb up there. Won't be easy, but I wonder if I can get up there. Come on. There she is, Emery Peak, the tallest peak in Big Bend National Park. Here she is. Look at that. Holy moly, what a view. So this is Emery Peak, tallest peak at the park. It's about 7,800 feet above sea level. Gotta take some pictures of this area, of course. From here, and we'll take it from here. This one's cool because you also got the view of Santa Ana Canyon, which is all the way in the distance here. But no, Andrew, Utah's a great place to do some flying. Utah's got some really cool areas. You obviously got Zion National Park. You got the 5 national parks of Utah: Zion, Grand Staircase. We have Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, Arches, and in Bryce Canyon. You got the beautiful 5 national parks, but you also have some really cool sceneries around the Salt Lake City area, and of course the Wasatch Mountain Range. With some of the peaks around Asher National Forest and Dinosaur National Monument. Some really great places to fly in Utah. Excellent, excellent place to do some flying. No shortage of great peaks. So yeah, this is the beautiful mountain range. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, that's a great flight plan. Zion's really cool. Bryce Canyon, Lake Powell, Monument Valley. Oh, that's an excellent flight plan. That's an excellent flight plan. That's an excellent flight plan. You got some absolutely beautiful gems. Utah's 5 national parks are really special. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way down, and we'll make our way down to catch up to our plane, of course. We're just still stuck into the side of the mountain, obviously. Had to get it down for here, but we should finally get our way back to our plane. Yeah, the views from up here. Oh, this is just beautiful. Like I said, show this to people. Is this really Texas? Of course, I want to take a picture with the plane, of course. I have a Discord if you guys are interested and want to check it out, obviously. Now to get her out of the scenery, of course. You know, it's not going to be easy with the tree. I know it's not my greatest. Yeah. Oh, nice. I've been doing flight sims since the initial release of MSFS 2020. I've been actually flying flight sims since then. For a couple years, I've been doing flight sim stuff. Been loving it ever since, and I've actually been streaming since 2021. So I've been around this streaming stuff for quite a long while now. So we're going to go ahead and fly to our direct heading, and heading is turned on. So beautiful stuff here. We'll continue to fly around 8,000 feet. Yeah, I love the Savage Norton, and this is primarily the main plane I'm taking for the series because the Norton is just a great bush aircraft. It can take off from short distances, good performance and speed, and it can take off anywhere, which is what I like. Yeah, the real Emery Peak has a real satellite transmission tower. So, really cool stuff. But like I said, welcome on in, Andrew. I'm glad to have you here join me with this flight. And by the way, group flights are more than welcome here. You can fly as a group too, as well. So, but like I said, people are always welcome here to come on the streams. I'm nice and chill, and that's just the way I like to fly. So, yeah, just, man, these mountains are just really cool. So, yeah, just super cool mountain range. So we're going to turn left here. So, absolutely incredible views. I love this park. And this is one of the parks I want to visit the most, actually, is Big Bend. I think it would be such a neat park to visit. So we'll be flying around the Chizo Mountains for a bit longer, so you guys can check out itself. So there's Emery Peak in the distance. So we got one last bush stop left to go, and we're going to just see what the mountains look like from the ground. So I think we're going to... oh, nice, the Cirrus G2. That's really cool. Yeah, the longitude's really nice. I mean, longitude is just the do-it-all business jet. You can easily do short-haul business routes, or you could do longer flights. I heard some people you could probably, in real life, you could do transatlantic. I don't think in the sim it has quite the same range. But you can do some pretty impressive flights with this business jet. But yeah, lots of really neat aircraft you can fly in and out of. Yeah. Yeah, this air, like I said, and we visit a lot of national parks in our series, Andrew. On my channel, of course, we went through tons of national parks on the channel. This is 27 of 63. We started our trip all the way in Yellowstone, but there's so many really beautiful parks in the sim. We got to check out Yellowstone, Yosemite's really cool. Like sometimes some national parks aren't really modeled as well as they would be in real life. The most obvious example, of course, being a lot of the national parks in caves. Wind Cave and Mammoth Cave, for example. I mean, it's all underground. You're not going to see a lot of those caves. Because obviously they're underground. Not a lot of people get to actually see them. And then they are one disappoint Bryce Canyon isn't really that great in the sim for some reason. But real life, Bryce Canyon's absolutely gorgeous. But there's some parks that I was blown away by how beautiful they look in the sim. Grand Canyon looks really nice. Acadia is really cool. One national park that's really impressed me, Grand Teton, is absolutely breathtaking in the sim. And of course, one of the more underrated parks I've flown over in this simulator that I got to really enjoy, Glacier National Park in Montana, is a really special little park. Um, Glacier's gorgeous. But I've flown to so many of them. And of course, one of my underrated national parks, Kings Canyon, is really nice too. And that's in California. Kings Canyon is really cool. But yeah, like I said, there's so many ones we still have tons of left in this series. We're covering all 63 of them here. We still got some more heavy hitting national parks later in the series. Haleakala, Canyonlands, Arches, North Cascades, Teddy Rose, Badlands National Park, the Channel Islands, and of course all the Alaskan national parks we have to cover. Um, so um, a lot of amazing parks to cover. Like I said, if you stick around for the series, of course, you have access to all the parks. So really great to see here, of course. We're going to go ahead and head straight back to our runway. We're going to go ahead and get back to our final stop. So that would be, we're going to go ahead and make our final landing of the day. So that's going to be it, of course. So here we go. We're going to make our landing. Oh, okay. On a 1,429 mile flight from Ohio to Mexico. Yeah, it kind of gets bored at 40,000 feet, obviously. That's one of the nice things about general aviation is, one of the things that's nice about GA sometimes is you can get low to the ground, with the scenery and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I think I enjoy airliner flying too. Not the long routes, which with airliner stuff. I mainly prefer try to keep my routes short haul on stream, because that way they're short. You can still look at scenery and stuff, but at least you get down to the ground pretty quickly. I just don't enjoy those super long flights. Okay, you're only doing it for money though. That makes sense. Yeah, some people do career mode stuff too. I don't really do career mode very much because in at least in Fight Zone 2024, I don't do the career mode here because, well, I actually am part of a virtual airline, so that's why I'm not really doing a career mode here because I actually do a third-party career mode with a virtual airline. So that's why I don't do it here in the base sim. So, so here we go. We should make our landing here very soon. So that's it, everyone. Welcome to the end of the stream, guys. Thank you all so much for coming here on this stream. Thank you for all the new follows and viewers. Thank you so much. We will be back with we'll be back Friday, of course, for the pretty epic game day finale for the modern European football. Man City and Aston Villa will be back in England, of course. So we're gonna go say hello to my good friend Ropenza. He's currently going to Tonkaten. So we'll make sure you tell him that I said hello. So, guys, thank you all so much, and I hope to see you again on Friday. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your week. Goodbye, everyone, and see you soon.